Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm a mom of two children, one of which grew up having difficulties socializing with his peers. He was bullied and then eventually suffered from depression that led to suicide. Today, I'd like to share with you some of the things that I learned through that experience so that you can then take those things home when, when loving and helping your children. The first thing is that it can happen in any family. Suicide can happen in any family. I certainly didn't think it was going to happen in ours. There were no major red flags. As Dr. Chen said, my son was one of those ducks. He must have been pedaling very hard underneath the water, but above that water line, it looked like everything was just fine. In our family, there was nobody doing drugs. There was no heavy drinking. Nobody was putting down anybody or lowering self-esteem. We paid attention to our kids, and we also, we were good parents that looked out for their social well-being, their emotional well-being, and their spiritual and academic well-being. My son was 19 years old. He started college with almost one full year of credits, and he was just a terrific kid. We lost him 2 weeks right before spring finals. He was a freshman at college. Now, it can happen in every family, and I don't want to scare you that way, but the good news is that suicide can be very preventable many times. What you need to do is learn the risk factors and the warning signs. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have known that. I knew some of them, but I wasn't familiar with all of them. So where can you find them? Well, Dr. Chen just gave you a bunch of them. You could go on any computer through any search engine and just search for risk factors and warning signs, and a bunch of them come up. If you go to our website, Nick's Network of Hope, we have the risk factors and warning signs on there, many of them, as well as informational links to local and different national organizations. I also have one more resource for you. I just wrote this book that just came out in May. It's Saving Ourselves from Suicide, Before and After, How to Ask for Help, Recognize Warning Signs, and Navigate Grief. I wrote this for people who are struggling, for people who have gone through suicide and going through the grief process, and for anybody who wants to help any of those two categories of people. Why I am referring this resource is because together with those lists of risk factors and warning signs, I actually give you real life examples. I give you my son's last text messages, and I put them out. I bold and label what the risk factor or what the warning sign was, so that you will have those at your fingertips. All net proceeds from that book go back to suicide prevention. You can go to our website and see all the buying options there. The other point I would like to make is that, as Dr. Chen said, the most important thing that you can do is listen to your children. Ask them open-ended questions. You know, so often we go to our kids and we ask them a question just to hear what our call of action is, what they need us to do for them, and then we fix it. But we need to sit down and ask them those open-ended questions like, how are you feeling? What types of things are you experiencing at school? What kind of pressure are you under? Are you under pressure? Am I exerting any sort of pressure? What can I do to help you? And then sit forward and listen to them. Open the lines of communication. You may not like some of the things that they come back and say to you, but again, you need to open the lines of communication and understand what they're saying is what they're feeling, and you just need to listen. The second thing is, if you think that your child is doing more than just being in a glum mood, and you can't really see a quick end to it, like it wasn't just a quick breakup with a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a death of a pet or something like that. If it's going on and lingering, then it is okay to ask them if they are having thoughts of harming themselves. I didn't know this, but the research has shown that you will not be planting the seed and you will not be giving them the idea to hurt themselves. So open those lines of communication. It can save their lives. Now, the other thing is, like I said, my son died just 2 weeks before spring finals. And my point is, do not be a cheerleader when people need more help than that. When I saw my son, I flew out there when he said he was having some problems, and I was a cheerleader. I said, oh, I called him Snoopy. That was my nickname for him. Snoopy, you're almost done. 2 more weeks, you can get through finals. And then when he came home, I was going to bring him to a mental health professional. Well, I didn't have that luxury. So when you see something that is alarming to you, that isn't just a glum mood, then don't try to cheer somebody through that pain. Go get professional help. And I like to equate that sometimes with physical health, because mental health sometimes is kind of scary. We can't really wrap our brains around that, but we're familiar with physical health. We understand that. So if your child had a cold, you can take care of them at home. You can make them soup, you can help them. But if they have pneumonia and they're coughing up blood, none of you would think of handling that alone at home. What would you do? You'd pick up the phone and you'd bring them to the doctor, right? Well, this is the same thing. If it's more than just a sad mood and it's something that's lingering on, go get help. You wouldn't feel embarrassed to bring your child to a doctor for the pneumonia. So don't feel embarrassed to bring them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's just as important and can be just as life-threatening. The next point is, sometimes we must believe the behavior more than the words. Now, what do I mean by that? You may ask your child, hey, how are you doing? I noticed that you seem depressed. You seem like you're not sleeping right. You seem moody. They may look at you and say they're fine. Well, they may not be lying. They may, first of all, think that they really are fine. Secondly, if they don't think they're fine, they may tell you that they're fine because they don't want to be a burden. Maybe you have other kids at home and they don't want to put something else on you. So if everything is pointing in the direction that is alarming you, that, like Dr. Chen said, all of those warning signs where they seem depressed, go get professional help. Believe the behavior more than the words. It sounds counterintuitive because we want to believe our kids at face value when they say that they're okay. The next thing, and I would be remiss to say this, is that, my son went away 6 hours to school. And so I have to say this, if you have a child who is having difficulties going through the normal life challenges that adolescents are going to, and you're concerned. Now, I'm not saying be an overly protective parent. I'm saying like you have valid concerns. Then my recommendation from parent to parent is that, if they go away for a job or for school, then it would be nice if they were a car ride away, or they have somehow some family members that can check on them. I wish we would have done that with my son. He was 6 hours away. And I think that lack of support system of having us there, seeing him on a more regular basis made a difference. So these are the top things that I learned that I hope now that you can take them and share them with your kids. Thank you. It does not matter what career a person's going to have if they never get to the career. It doesn't matter what grades your kids get if they're going to take their life and never get another semester again. You don't want to be where I'm at. I'll never have my son again. I'll never have him here on this side. So all of that stuff, and I'm not casting stones because I was a type A mom that was always knowing what the next best opportunity was for my child. I was right there, you know, I knew exactly where that they needed to go, each of my kids. And none of that matters when your child takes their life. So while you have them, love your children for who they are right now, and don't make your love and acceptance of them contingent on the next goal or achievement you set for them.
Thank you.